Hello, I'm Nicole Keller and welcome to Saddleworth News. Coming up on this month's programme, the Swan in Dob Cross has a new landlord. The new parking restrictions in Upper Mill have been introduced, and we look at the results of the Debbie Abrahams poll from the website. One of the best known and oldest pubs in Saddleworth has a new landlord. Alistair McGregor has taken over at the Swan in Dob Cross after the previous landlord, Mike Mooney, decided late last year to end his tenancy because of a planned increase in rent by pub owner Marston's. Richard has been along to see what plans Alistair has in mind for the Swan.
The Swan here at the Square in Dob Cross is one of Saddleworth's oldest and most famous pubs, but it was under threat of closure until a new landlord agreed to take it on. Let's go and meet him. Alistair, can I start off by asking you why you've decided to take on the pub?
Well, unfortunately I was made redundant about 6 months ago from my job in Manchester, and I've actually been finding it quite difficult to find suitable employment. And then when I heard the pub was being handed over, I thought, well, there's an opportunity. It's a community pub. People use it because they're comfortable here, they like the ambience. It's a great historical pub. It's 300 years I think it's been trading, so I'm joining an illustrious line of landlords of the Swan. I think it's an important part of the community, and I think if the Swan disappeared or had to shut, it would be a disaster for the community, because we've already lost the wool pack down the bottom of the hill there, and that would mean we'd only be left with the navigation and the band club actually in the confines of the village. So yes, I think it's something the community needs, and hopefully the community wants to continue to utilise.
So Alistair, can you explain what plans you've got for the pub?
In the short term, I will be running it status quo, the way it's always been, as a community pub, a pub where people can come, socialise, have some nice food and a few beers. There'll be no change of emphasis or anything. Despite my recent past running the Manchester Academy venues, this isn't going to become the Manchester Academy in Dob Cross. It will remain a small community pub. My hope is to bring more people into utilising the pub on perhaps different occasions. Bring people in to do coffee mornings, more community groups coming to use the function room upstairs, perhaps for sport, or pre-sport or post-sport activities, anything to get people to start coming in and develop the community spirit amongst the villagers.
There's been a pub on this site for the best part of the last 3 centuries, and Alistair's decision to step behind the bar means its future is secure for a while longer at least. Back to the studio.
The new time restrictions on most car parks in Upper Mill took effect this week. After months of debate about the idea, drivers are no longer able to stay for more than 3 hours at the museum, while a 2-hour limit is now in place at the Hare and Hounds, Smithy Lane and King George V playing fields. Traffic wardens have been out in force, but they weren't handing out penalty notices to anyone overstaying the new limits. For the first week, drivers have been given a leaflet explaining the new restrictions in more detail. Proper parking tickets and fines won't be issued until Monday 21st of February. However, some shop owners and residents have opposed the restrictions, fearing they'd have to interrupt their day several times to move their vehicles or be forced to park much further away. Many local businesses have strongly supported the idea, in the hope it will boost trade. Despite those objections and a petition with more than 750 signatures, a council panel approved the time limits back in December. Nick Watts, who was campaigning against the scheme, has been watching with interest.
To be fair to Oldham Council, they've done it quite well in that they're giving a week's notice. They're actually not today handing out penalty notices. Today they're handing out notices to warn that next Monday they'll be handing out penalty notices. So I turned up this morning about 9:30 and many people had abandoned the car park already. In fact, it was quite empty. And subsequently people had since read the notices and found out, oh, they're all right for another week. So showing off the car park outside is full again. The thing to keep in mind is that there are not enough parking spaces in Upper Mill, and simply adding restrictions just moves the problem from one person to another. It moves the car from one place to another, but it doesn't make any more spaces. I'm afraid all that's left is for people to be angry, but there's nobody where for their angry voices to turn. Fortunately, the parish council elections are coming up in May, so maybe people will consider that.
Saddleworth News readers have urged local MP Debbie Abrahams to make pushing for improvements on the Manchester to Huddersfield railway line her top priority. The poll, which had run on the site until last week, asked what issues she should make her main focus, with suggestions of various issues which are important to people in our area. Improvements on the line, which include stops at Marsden, Greenfield and Mossley, took 33% of the vote. Trying to get more money for local school buildings, such as the hoped-for new Saddleworth School at Diggle, was second with 23%, and opposing NHS plans won 19% of the vote. Working with Oldham Council to ease the impact of the cuts took 16%, while 8% suggested she should focus on something else. So that's it for this month. If you have any stories that you think will interest us, then contact us through the website at saddleworthnews.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.